Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Thesewrena, and in today's video we're going to be making a casserole dish carrying case. I made mine from a modern pattern that I've had for years. In fact, all of the material I found in my sewing room that I've had for a really long time. I am really excited about this project because I think it's very useful for any time of year, but especially right now as we'll be hosting and or being guests for other people's dinner parties and festivities. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to thank you again for clicking on this video and supporting all of my other videos. I will make a playlist, I'll call it Craftmas, to keep all of my craft videos in one place so it's easy for you guys to find. I think this project could be useful for yourself, but also make a wonderful gift. So I wanted to make sure that it was made up earlier on in the series, so that way you have more than enough time to get this done. Just like my applique project, I will leave a copy of the image that I used, or a template of the image that I used, on my Ko-fi, so please check that out. You can also leave me a virtual tip there if you so choose. It will be gladly appreciated, but it's not necessary because you can also support this channel by liking this video, sharing it with someone you care, and leaving a comment below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @Thesewrena_ so you can keep up with me in real time. Thank you so much, and let's get into the video. The fabrics we'll be using is this cotton pre-quilted fabric and this cotton gingham for the lining. It's scrap fabric, and then I also have some of the scrap thermal lining that I used for 2 coats, and I have some extra. We're going to use Simplicity 1680. I'm going to do view C. It's the most simple design, and I already have the handles to match, and here is the line drawing and fabric requirements. This pattern is super simple, and I think it'd be a wonderful project for a beginner when it comes to sewing, as far as following directions of a pattern, and then just a simple project in general. You can use scrap fabric, as you can see here. I'm using materials that I found in my sewing room for this project because I don't want to put myself in more expense near the end of the year. I really do try to make sure my crafts are as inexpensive as possible. For the entirety of this project, you're just sewing a series of rectangles and then lining it. The pattern called for batting as well as the thermal interlining, but considering I was using pre-quilted cotton, there's batting already in between the layers, so I decided to omit that. It would save me materials, and it would also save me a step. So this project was pretty quick because I got to skip that. So I made this entire carrying case in a matter of a few hours, and it would have been even shorter if I didn't design the cornflower decal to iron on the front. So now I'm top stitching the front. There's lots of top stitching, so you'll get a lot of practice with top stitching if you haven't already. And again, that's why I think it's a perfect beginner project. I forgot to put the insulation in there when I was sewing the lining, so I did have to go back and add that on there. And as you can see, I used a green ribbon. I think the instructions have you top stitch over the ribbon, but I didn't want to do that because I felt like the flap wouldn't lay flat when I had to push it underneath there, if that makes sense. You'll see when I'm closing it up later. But essentially, before, I wanted to do the green Crazy Daisy decal for the front of it, but I did not have the right shade of green vinyl, so I had to go with the Corning flower. I was actually going to put Corning flower on one side and then the Crazy Daisy pattern on the other side, but I went with Corning flower completely. And so now I'm just showing you how it's gonna kind of go together and where I'm planning on putting my little Corning flower logo. And so now I have to top stitch this X shape. Growing up, we were not a Pyrex household. We had all of the Corning ware casserole dishes, so this is very special to me because every time I use my Corning ware casserole dishes, I think of my grandmother, who still currently uses her dishes. So this print is really near and dear to my heart. So when I had to choose between using the right shade of green for the Pyrex, I decided that the Corning ware would be more authentic to my story, and it was really special to me. Now I'm going to sew up the corners. The corners are quite thick, so if you have a modern machine, I would go with a heavy-duty machine because it might be a little hard to sew through. I did break a needle because I was using a finer needle throughout the process. Once I switched my needle to the correct size, it was smooth sewing from that point on. I think this casserole carrier would make a great gift for the holidays, but also it's just wonderful to have because it does keep your things warm. When I first started this project, I thought how cool it would be to have some kind of vinyl or waterproof fabric on the interior to keep from messes, but then I thought about it when I was done, and that wouldn't be the best idea considering you do want to put a hot casserole dish in there and you might melt the vinyl or any kind of waterproof plastic. So instead I would put adaptations to the handle so that way the wooden handle comes off and you can pop it in the washing machine if there are messes. So in order to get my decal, what I did was take a picture of one of the dishes that I already had, and then I cleaned up the image on my Cricut software, and then that gave me the perfect image to put directly onto the bag. I actually enlarged it a little bit because a lot of the prints on the casserole dishes are quite small, but I wanted it to be very big and legible. So that is what I did. If you make this as a gift for someone, especially if it's like a vintage Pyrex collector, it'd be really cool for you to download a print or clean up an image of your own and give them a casserole carrier that matches their collection. I was using scrap vinyl because I have a friend who has a t-shirt business and she so graciously sends me her scrap from time to time. So even my vinyl is scrap. I hardly ever buy any vinyl brand new off a roll. I work with scrap since I only use it for little details for fun craft projects like this. Previously, I made some Pyrex pumpkins and I'll pop in a photo of that. Now that my decal is weeded, it's time to play with placement on the bag. This doesn't take very long because it's very simple and straightforward. All I had to do was center it on the bag and make sure that it wasn't too far up because I wanted it to be on that flat square edge of where the casserole would be instead of higher up on the bag. If you do not have a Cricut or if you just don't want to use vinyl, you could definitely hand embroider this because the design is small and simple enough. I was in a hurry to get some of these videos out for you guys so that you have an opportunity to make them too before the holidays rather than after. I'm using my Cricut Easy Press Mini to adhere the vinyl to the bag. I really like this. I used to use my regular iron and then I just prefer to have a designated iron, and since I only work with small details, I only needed the tiny easy to store version of this iron. The bag is done and it's time to demonstrate how a modern Pyrex casserole dish fits inside. This one has a lid. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you found this helpful and I could inspire you to make one yourself or give it as a gift. I think this carrier is a great compromise to buying sometimes very expensive vintage dishes and not having to deal with the toxic paint that they use to decorate them. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Also follow me on Instagram at @Thesewrena_. Check out my Ko-fi for this decal and I will see you next time. Bye.